It's been almost 20 years since Texas won a championship, so today I'm going to attempt to fix the Longhorns, but it won't be easy because I can only jump into 3 regular season games a year, and I only have 5 years to complete all 6 of these challenges, which are have a winning record versus rivals Oklahoma, win a conference championship, win a Heisman trophy, make the college football playoffs, win a national championship, and sign the #1 recruiting class. If I fail to complete even just one of those challenges, I have to give away a jersey to a random commenter, and my first move is going to be redshirting freshman Arch Manning. If the Longhorns are going to have success in the near future, I need to make sure that some of these best players have plenty of time to develop, and that might mean that these first couple of seasons aren't the best, but after this year, Texas will no longer be in the Big 12, and I'll be taking the Longhorns over to the SEC along with Oklahoma, which is going to be pretty hard. Our opening game is going to be at Alabama, and we're going to end up losing by 4, which was a little upsetting, but I'm more annoyed that Texas A&M stole these 2 studs from us already. If I'm going to sign the #1 recruiting class in the country this year, I need to get it together, and at least we bounced back against Rice. There are certain teams that we just shouldn't have any issues with, like Wyoming, who we beat by 48, and now that it's time for me to start scheduling visits, I think everybody needs to come for the Oklahoma one. Since I'm going to play that game, I'm going to go ahead and just sim to it. Against Houston, we're going to lose by 7, and it looks like Texas A&M's overspending has paid off. The Red River Showdown is a big deal, and in these 5 seasons, one of the video's challenges is have a winning record versus Oklahoma, so I'm going to start it off by bombing their defense, and what a throw that was. I'm looking forward to using Arch Manning much more than Quinn Ewers, but he can clearly get the job done if he needs to, and it's definitely been a disappointing start to the year, but I'm hoping we can bounce back. I'm going to break a sack, and if I can pull this off, that'd be incredible. Keelan Robinson's going to catch it, and he's going to get in. So maybe this is when everything starts to turn around for us. On 3rd down, we're going to get the defensive stop if somebody could just make a tackle. And I don't think Jackson Arnold is that good right now, but in the future, that's when he might give us some issues. One of the big decisions I'll have to make next year is if I'm going to start Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning, and I'm really enjoying using the sophomore right now, but obviously his upside is a little bit limited. In the end, I'm just happy we started this rivalry with a win, and hopefully that gives us a better chance at completing all of these difficult challenges. The game even has this celebration, which I think is super neat, and visit week couldn't have gone better as there are now 11 players that are 76 overall or higher committed to the Longhorns. Avery Harris is our backup plan in case Arch Manning goes to the draft early, and even though we're 3-3, we still have a decent chance at winning our division in the Big 12. I think the next one I'll hop into will be at TCU, but surely we take down UCF, and how are we losing? I just don't understand it. This team's supposed to be pretty decent. Now all I want to do is sim, and I'm a bit annoyed, but our second visit week is going to be against Kansas, who I cannot let beat us. With about 4 minutes remaining, we are trailing, but we have the ball, and we are down here in the red zone. I'm going to hit Sanders for a nice few yards, and hopefully Keelan Robinson can finish the job, but he's going to be marked a bit short. It's 4th and inches, and we have no other choice to go for it where we're going to get in, and a defensive stop on Jalen Daniels and the Jayhawks would be huge, as that should have been an interception. It's not the end of the world as it's 4th and 13, and they go with the draw, and I don't know what was up with that terrible play call, but the first down here is going to seal it. Quinn Ewers certainly wasn't the best, but all of this yellow means visit week was a success, and to be honest, I'm just ready to get into season number 2. To my surprise, we ended the year on a 3-game winning streak, and since we're moving to the SEC, we'll never win the Big 12, but we did better than I thought. Ending the year ranked inside the top 25 is pretty big, and just based on Quinn Ewers' stats, I know who I'm starting next season. We made the Cheez-It Bowl against Clemson, and it's weird to see these 2 teams competing in this game, but I'm going to go ahead and sim it, and we're going to lose by 2. I figured the result of that one didn't really matter, but I guess it did as my job security is low, and I want to lose my mind because Arch Manning is transferring to LSU. I'm not sure if there's any way that we're going to be able to convince him to stay, and the persuasion chance is still very low. He is going to be leaving, which means we have to face him every year in the SEC now for the rest of this rebuild. To be completely honest with you all, I am disgusted, but I do have some good news, and that's that we signed the #1 recruiting class, knocking off the first of 6 challenges in this video. I'm also very thankful that I went after quarterback Avery Harris now, and I guess for the next little bit, Quinn Ewers is going to be our starting quarterback. Hopefully he's good enough to handle the newly aligned SEC, and I still can't believe that Arch Manning transferred out to LSU. I've now learned my lesson about redshirting players, so I'm going to do it very sparingly, and it looks like we're projected to finish 4th in our new division. To open it up, we're playing at Mississippi State, and it's on the road, so I'm not surprised we lost by 3. The SEC is going to be brutal to us, and all these upcoming matchups look terrible, so I'm not sure how we're going to pull this off. I have so many challenges to complete in this video, and we can't even beat Arkansas. The wildest part about Arch Manning transferring for playing time is he isn't even starting this year, and since we've already begun 0-3 against LSU, we're just going to sim and lose again. I don't even want to jump into the Bama game because I think we know what the result will be. We're going to lose to them too, and I could have never predicted that in our first year in the SEC, we would be 0-5. We're literally doing so bad that our bonus if we beat Oklahoma is 740 points. That makes this a huge visit week, and Quinn Ewers has already beaten them once. Considering how bad he's doing, I might start the freshman, and Xavier Worthy has this corner beat deep, but it is going to be an underthrow, and that is probably the final straw for Quinn Ewers. I'm sick of him. So even though he is a 90 overall, it's time to put put in Avery Harris. This freshman quarterback was supposed to be Arch Manning, but instead it's going to be a 78 overall. And on his first drive, he has seemed to have a pretty solid arm along with some quick legs, so I'm excited to see how this guy develops. On 4th and goal, I'm going to go with the halfback toss to CJ Baxter, and I'm hoping the freshman is fast enough, but he's marked short, so we're just going to have to go for a safety instead, and I have a feeling it could happen. Jackson Arnold is shaking in his boots back there, and on 3rd and 13, I am going to send the house, and nobody is going to get in. He's going to have tons of open space. Please make this open field tackle. He's going to miss, and I cannot believe it, but I'm just going to give up a huge touchdown run. Now that we're in the red zone again, this time I'm going to make sure we take care of business, and with 13 seconds left in the half, I'm going to be looking for R1. I'm going to hit the button, and it's not even going to go to him. Avery Harris has done a good job, though, and with a few minutes remaining, we're only down by 1. All we're going to need is a field goal, so I've decided that I'm just going to run out the clock with CJ Baxter and kick one. I didn't expect it to take 6 games, but we're finally going to win a conference matchup, and so far, the Red River Showdown has gone in our favor. We're 2-0, which means we only need to win one of the last 3, and I've decided that Avery Harris is going to start for us the rest of the year because the season's already over, so I might as well sim it and let him develop. Recruiting-wise, being at Texas has made it super easy to get a lot of great prospects, and evidently Avery Harris is better than Quinn Ewers. Even though he's a lower overall, we finished the year 4-8, and he's the only reason we even won any games this year, so I am very thankful we found him. However, now when I look at the season stats, it seems like he must have gotten hurt at some point, so our quarterback room is a complete mess, but CJ Baxter had a decent freshman year, and I was very thrilled about the future until I saw that Justin Austin and Robert Bullock are transferring out. I guess they didn't want to be a part of a program that sends a lot of players into the NFL, but I'm not going to stress about it because once again we signed the #1 class with 7 5-star recruits, and I think at this point we have to be blowing through more money than Texas A&M does. There's just so many athletes that I get to move around now, and I'm hoping with all the talent we can have, we can start to make some playoff pushes. Avery Harris might only be an 83, but he's going to start again, and I've recruited so well that there's 12 players I have to cut, but everybody's good. Well, I don't think it's much of a surprise that we're projected to finish 6th in our division, and even if this season doesn't go the way that we want, the future 2 years are looking very bright. There's a lot of challenges we still need to complete, and to open up the year we're going to lose, so I have to jump into our next one. We can't afford to start 0-5 again, and Ole Miss is a good team, so we need to play well. I'm going to look for Casey Kane here. He's going to try to escape. He gets tripped up, but now we can just go with the option run, and I'm going to pitch it, and Brooks gets in. Since the Rebels would score, I'd like to end the half by tying it up at 14. I don't know how Moore Jr. got out of there and scored a touchdown, but that play was a game changer, as ever since then, we have had all the momentum in this game. Even in the rain, our cheerleaders are really enjoying our performance, and CJ Baxter should be able to get us in here. On 3rd and goal from outside of the red zone, Ole Miss is going to unfortunately get 11 yards, but they have no choice but to go for it. They need to get into the end zone, and our zones just don't play anything. Thankfully, it's not going to matter as we've worked the ball down the field, and we should be able to just run out the clock, but I'd prefer if all of our future games weren't this close. Against Arkansas, I have no choice to sim because I want to take on Arch Manning and LSU, and I'll never stop being salty about his decision to transfer there. We need to make him regret choosing the Tigers over the Longhorns, and here on 3rd and 14, we might be able to keep them out of field goal range, but he's delivering a dot. Luckily for us, they're not being very aggressive on offense, but I'm going to be, as it is Avery Thomas's time to shine. He needs to prove that he's the better quarterback, and he's going to find Ryan Niblett over the top of the defense. I think he's going to be fast enough to take this all the way to the house. What a play, and the fans are loving it. We have a chance to be in the driver's seat if we can score on this possession, and I had the touchdown, but he misses, so I want to be upset with Avery Harris, but as long as we pick up this 4th and 1, it's not going to matter. And as time's running down in the half, I'm going to find CJ Baxter on the halfback angle route. We should be able to get in from here as we're going to do so, and I'm going to be really aggressive on this 4th and 1. I went with the run commit, which is not going to pay off. They're going to score a touchdown instead. That was probably a terrible decision on my part, but I thought we'd be able to get the stop, and the refs are reviewing if that was a catch. This was a massive 2-point conversion, so I'm hoping his foot's out, but it looks like it was in, and like expected, the play stood. Now we just need to make sure that we have one good final drive. I didn't see anybody open. Somehow Avery Harris is going to escape the defensive end, and that's why he's so good. We're honestly just flying down the field. We should be able to get into the end zone relatively easily, and I should not have thrown that interception. I'm so bad. If we lose this game, there's going to be nobody else but to blame but me, as I've choked a little bit, and on 4th and 6, we really need to pick this up. They sent a little bit of a blitz, and that's not going to be converted. It doesn't mean that we're out of it yet, as we have them on a 3rd and 10, but it's going to be very hard to come back, but I really don't want to lose to Arch Manning. If we're able to get into the end zone, I promise you all, I'm going to go for 2. I'm going to want to end it without overtime, and CJ Baxter should be able to punch this in. I'm also going to look for him on the halfback angle route, which he holds on to, and if we can't have a successful season, I want to make sure Arch Manning doesn't either. It feels good to know that we didn't lose to him, and maybe Avery Harris is the better choice. Now, we are sitting with 2 conference losses and only 1 game that I can still jump into, so I'm going to go ahead, sim the Alabama and Notre Dame one, but play the at Oklahoma one. I am a bit disappointed we didn't win either one, but the guys we needed committed, and even though this is a much smaller class than previous ones, I'm only going after players that we're going to need. Our only goal is to beat the Sooners one more time, and I have to say, it's apparent that Jackson Arnold and Oklahoma have improved. I knew at some point he would end up developing, but we are not doing great on offense, and that's an issue for us because with a minute left in the third quarter, we are trailing by 12. I'm going to find Casey Kane, and he is going to fight his way in. His determination has made a massive difference. We now have the ball. I'm going to just roll out with Avery Harris. Hopefully we can get a good block here, which we do. He's going to find a first down, and he's not in the game anymore, which is a little concerning, but at least we should get in. I'm always going to trust CJ Baxter to fight for it, but after Jackson Arnold went down the field and scored a touchdown, we have the ball down 4 with 2 minutes left. I know we're 2-4 and we haven't been great, but this could be the time that our season is turned around, and I'm going to make sure that no matter what, this is the final possession of the entire game. I don't want them to get the ball back with any time left, and I'm just going to find CJ Baxter for 6, so that's going to be the game-winning touchdown. Thanks to sophomore quarterback Avery Harris, we've knocked off the second challenge of the video, and he deserves to have a good time celebrating. Since I've already jumped into all 3 games, all I can do is sim to the end of the year, and we somehow lose to Texas State. After that, we would go on to win our hardest matchups, but lose the easiest ones, and at least we did better in the SEC, but there's only 2 years left on this rebuild. I'm gonna need Avery Harris to start developing a lot faster, and I can't believe how terrible CJ Baxter was. Jonte Cook II is our future best wide receiver though, but he wants to leave early to the NFL, so I'm just gonna convince him to stay. Unfortunately, we always have players transferring out, which is really annoying, but we're only losing a few seniors that started and made a massive impact, and even though I only signed 11 prospects, somehow I have the 13th best class in the country. I don't think I've ever signed this many 81 overalls before, but they want to play for a good team, and if this roster can't get at least 10 wins, I'm going to be shocked. Well, even though we're a 99 overall team, we're still projected to finish 6th in the SEC West, and I don't understand why we're ranked all the way at 47. All I know is we should start the year with a win at SMU. I'm pretty sure we've yet to beat Mississippi State in this dynasty, but that's going to finally change, and all I'm going to say is the offense is looking extremely good. Up to this point, I still haven't felt the need to jump into any of these as we should have the advantage, but of all the teams remaining on our schedule, LSU's one that scares me the most, and I'm probably going to regret this, but since they're 2-2, I'm going to sim it, which we win by 42. So far, I haven't even played any of our 3 games, but we're tied for first in our division, and I should be happy with that, but we still need to have somebody that's in the Heisman race. I really didn't want to play the Red River Rivalry again, but if we're going to keep winning, we have to beat Oklahoma, and to my surprise, our star quarterback is not out there right now. Evidently, Avery Harris has been hurt, and since we're 5-0, I feel like it'd be a bad decision to replace him at this point in the season. Instead, as long as Malik Murphy continues to get it done, I'm just going to stay with him, and even though it's raining, so far the Sooners are struggling more than us. I know we weren't projected to do well, but clearly the team is much better than everybody thought, and you won't believe how bad the final score was. 49-0 is an embarrassment for Sooner fans, and after having back-to-back bye weeks, I noticed that Avery Harris was no longer on the injury report, but I just can't justify him being the starter as Malik Murphy has done so well. We're currently sitting at number 4 in the AP poll, and you'd think that TCU would be better, but they're 1-6, so this should be an easy win. I don't think my Wildcats are going to put up much of a fight against this team either, but they win by 4, and I cannot believe that we just lost that game. There's a decent chance we could win out, and that will keep us out of the playoffs, so all I can say is we better beat Texas A&M. Despite the rain, it's looking good for us so far, and I went with the wide receiver screen on 3rd down, which worked, but it was certainly a close call, and here on the goal line, I'm going to try to thread the needle, but it was a bad read. I don't know why I thought that I could swerve in front of that defender and make a play, but can somebody please make a tackle? That was ridiculous, but we should be able to respond back to end the first half, and I think they're going to end up getting a field goal, but that won't be the end of the world, and who is on that guy? I don't understand how he was so wide open, but now it's going to be all tied up at 14. I need to make sure that I finish off this drive, and Ryan Niblett's going to create a ton of separation. Even though the defense has looked a little bit questionable at times, they've honestly done a very good job, and that should be an interception. Brooks drops it, but we're still going to have them on a 4th and 25, and they have no choice but to punt us the ball. Blue could honestly seal it with a kick return if he gets out here, and I think he's going to be quick enough. He got a couple good blocks. Someone make sure the punter can't get him, and I think he's going to go all the way. What a kick return. That Kentucky loss hurts more than ever now, because even though we only have 1 loss this season, we're ranked 7th, and we need some of these teams above us to lose a game or 2. Even though South Carolina's not ranked, they're 7-2, so I'm a little nervous to sim this one, and I hate it here. Within just a few weeks, all of our playoff hopes have just been erased, and there's no way that we're going to climb all the way back up into the top 4. So I can be happy that we're going to make the SEC championship, but our losses have come at the end of the year, so against number 2 Notre Dame, we're just going to sim it, and we're going to lose by 7. With the way the polls work in this game, any losses at the end of the season hurt way more than at the beginning, and hopefully we can at least win an SEC championship. Next year, I hope our schedule is harder at the beginning instead of the end. That way, if we lose early on, we can still sneak into the playoffs. I shouldn't even be throwing picks at this point, but after how we started, I had such high hopes for the season, and now that it ended this way, I'm just disappointed. On 3rd and goal to end the first half, this slant is going to be picked off, and he clearly just wanted it more. I am going to go for the safety, though, just in case we can, and there's no way that was it. I don't understand how he was marked short there, but we got the ball back on the punt, and it's said and done. There's no reviewing it now. There's no overturning it. We have it in our hands, and I am so glad that we got away with it. I'm also going to find Murphy. Maybe he can make it all the way into the end zone, but even though he couldn't, the juke move didn't work, and we're going to spike the ball. We ended up getting back 5 of the 7 points we would have had from that touchdown pick, and 19-7 is a great score for us. I know the year didn't exactly end how we thought it would with the way we started, but I'm okay with it, because as long as most of our players don't leave for the NFL draft, there should be a ton returning. If you thought we were loaded this year, just wait until next. And look at that, Texas has won their first SEC championship. With that result, we've now completed half of the video's challenges, and I wish we at least had somebody in the Heisman race, but that just isn't happening. Evidently, this stat line wasn't good enough for Malik Murphy to be considered, and I feel like CJ Baxter got a little snubbed as well. We ended up finishing the year all the way down ranked at number 11, and we're playing Pitt in the Peach Bowl, where I'm expecting us to just go out and win by a ton. It's taken all 5 years, but I feel like I've turned around Texas, and going into this last season, I have to convince a lot of these players to stay. Thankfully, that shouldn't be too hard as their persuasion chance is very high, so at least that went well, but like tradition, we're going to lose somebody to the transfer portal. All I'm going to say is on the new game, when you play Dynasty, that's going to be very annoying, and I can't believe how many players we have on this team that are a 95 overall or higher. Obviously, it would be nice to still have Arch Manning, but I think Avery Harris can do the same job, and it looks like there's a chance that CJ Baxter could win the Heisman. We're also starting the year projected to finish in the top 5, which is amazing, because we still need to make the playoffs, win a championship, and win a Heisman. Our first game is at number 20 Georgia, so I feel like I need to jump into this one, and hopefully this one goes like the SEC championship did. I think they're in a cover 2 on this play, so I'm going to throw the halfback wheel route, and he's stuck with him, but CJ Baxter's going to catch it anyway. He is more than just a running back, and here on defense, they're going to throw an interception straight to us. Because of that, we should be able to end the half with a lead, and Andy Mooney gets open. With 4.5 minutes left, though, we are down by 3. We haven't scored since then, and their defense is trying to get a stop here, but I'm going to make the play, and what a catch. Avery Harris is incredible, but here on 4th and 2, we're going to need to pick it up, and Ryan Niblett's going to create enough separation. Georgia just hasn't scored very much, and we need to finish off this drive, so now if they're able to find the end zone, we're still going to have a 4-point lead. I mean, there's only 15 seconds left, so they'd really need a miracle, which they're going to get in, but it'll all come down to an onside kick no matter what, and we've got to make a tackle here. That running back was fighting for his life, and the kick is going to sail out of bounds, so we're opening up the year with a win. This could be the start of Avery Harris's Heisman campaign, but unfortunately, he is not appearing on the watch list. The Mississippi State game should be a gimme, but I guess you never know when you have to sim it, and I'm hoping for a similar result against 2-0 Arkansas, which we get. Now, our next matchup is against Ole Miss, and they might be undefeated, but there's way too many difficult games left on our schedule that I'm just going to have to sim it. And with 5 touchdowns, Avery Harris is now in contention for the Heisman. Our next matchup, though, is going to be against LSU, and if we lose to Arch Manning, I'm going to cry. The Tigers have already lost once, so they really need a win, and I'm hoping that we're able to get a goal line stop, but that halfback draw faked me out. We should be able to respond back relatively easily, though, as I have somebody wide open, and he's going to drop it. It's unfortunate, but we're going to have to go ahead and settle for 3, and I thought it'd be a little bit harder to stop LSU, but that was not difficult. Even though there's 2 99 overall quarterbacks on the field, the offenses are struggling, and with 2 minutes left in the first half, we've only scored 3. I'm going for it on 4th and 9, which is a bad decision. We're not going to get it, and I should have known better than that, but we're going to be going down 21-3. It seems like we've just gotten unlucky on everything today, and I'm going to try to bomb them to end the half, which is going to work, but he's out of bounds, so it's starting to look like we could lose our first game in Death Valley. It's now or never. If we don't score in this drive, we most likely never will, and I'm going to hit the wrong button. Oh my gosh, this is bad. With 5 minutes left in the game, we're down by 21. Our offensive line can't block, and they're going to pick it up. There were just simply too many things that went wrong today, and I'm going to try one last heave down the field, but it's overthrown. That exact throw tells the entire story of the game, and right now, I hate Arch Manning. It looks like that one result has dropped us all the way down to number 11, and at least we don't have to play Oklahoma this year because they've been terrible, and we have owned them in this dynasty. After annihilating Central Arkansas and FIU, we're playing at Kentucky, and this year, we're not going to lose to them, so that's big because there's still a chance that we can win our division. All we have to do is beat Texas A&M, and this year, we get to host this game. It is nice to know that if we win out, we should be able to sneak into the playoffs, and on this opening drive, we're going to get in. They might have responded back pretty quick, but I'm going to be looking for CJ Baxter here, and there's no way that he just came down with that and took it into the end zone. I swear, with the plays he makes, he is not a normal running back, and we're going to score again. At the moment, Avery Harris is just lighting this defense up as he finds Jonte Cook the second for 6, and it feels like Texas A&M is just completely out of it. My goal is to end the half with a field goal if possible, and I'm going to float this ball up to our best wide receiver who ends up coming down with it. He is literally incredible. I can't believe he declared for the NFL draft as a sophomore, but we've convinced him to stay to his senior year, and if Avery Harris ends up winning the Heisman, it'll be because of this performance. With this pass to Jonte Cook, he should be up to 7 touchdowns, and now we just have 2 games left on our schedule. One of them's against UTEP, so there's no way that we go out and lose this one, and in a 77-point showing, Avery Harris went off. That moved him up all the way to number 2 in the Heisman watch, watch. And unfortunately, the SEC isn't sealed just yet, so we have to go out and beat Missouri at home, and in this one, we're going to win by 28. Surprisingly, going into conference championship week, we are sitting at number 1 in the country, and this is how the SEC West shaped out. And over in the East, Alabama didn't make it, so we're playing Georgia again. If Avery Harris plays well, he should win the Heisman, and I just have to make sure I clutch up for this game. On our opening drive, it looks like we're going to get into the end zone, just have to make the right read, and that's a great catch. However, the Bulldogs did score, so to respond back, we're going to have to get in again, and I might try to use Harris's legs, but he doesn't seem to be as quick as I was thinking he was. Thankfully, Georgia missed the extra point though, because after getting held to just 3, at least we have a 4-point lead. With 3 minutes left in the first half, we are on a 3rd and 12, and I just want to throw it up to Ryan Niblett. He is just fast enough to come down with it, and what an amazing play by our number 2 receiver. I feel very lucky to have such a great core there, and on 3rd down, we should get a tackle here, so we're going to get yet another stop, and ever since then, we've just remained in full control of this game. The Bulldogs just never had our number in this dynasty, and I'm glad that they never did, because that's given us the opportunity to have success, and here at the end, you can tell it's over. We're going to win our 2nd SEC championship, and Longhorn fans can finally be happy again. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Did we win the Heisman or not? It is loading up, and it looks like we did. Avery Harris's incredible stat line ended up being just enough, and he also rushed for 10 touchdowns, which was just as much as CJ Baxter. Jonte Cook II as a senior also had the best season he has ever had for us, and I can't believe it, but LSU made the playoffs. That's pretty frustrating considering they're the one team that beat us this year, and now that we've knocked off a couple more challenges, there's only one remaining. Obviously, Alabama made quick work of Middle Tennessee State, so if we want to win it all, we have to beat 2 SEC schools. Last time we played the Tigers, what we did clearly did not work, so I'm just going to sling it this time, hope for the best, and there's no way we actually came down with that. I thought it was a guaranteed pick, but we ended up getting into the end zone, and I've decided I want to send the house at Arch Manning here, which works. I still hate that he transferred out, but we ended up finding our own way, and I'd love to hold them here on 3rd and 2. He's dropped back to pass it. We aren't getting much pressure in, and that should have been an interception. LSU is lucky to get 3 here, and I feel like we are dominating early on as we aren't making the same mistakes we made the last time. In fact, if I'm remembering right, they're the ones that went up 21-3, and this time around, it's just been a completely different story. Even though they really didn't deserve a playoff spot, I'm honestly glad that LSU got in just so we could get revenge, and I find it so funny that Arch Manning transferred out probably because he thought Texas couldn't get it done, and now we're doing so well. Assuming we hold on, Alabama is not going to be an easy opponent in the national championship, but I'm hoping we can take them down, and I'm curious who their one loss was to. In the end, even though the Tigers started scoring, their defense has just stunk, and trust me, I do not feel bad for Arch Manning one bit. Avery Harris has carried us way better than he ever would have, and it's time for the last game of this rebuild. The Crimson Tide got pounded by Georgia, so that should be a good sign for us, and I'm hoping we can cruise to an easy win. If we can hold them here, we would be getting an early 3 and out on their first drive, and luckily that tackle is going to be great. Now we just need to make sure we can score, and I'm trying to make an incredible play here. I probably shouldn't have thrown that ball, but you know what? That's a lesson that I'm going to have to learn, and we're going to hold them to 3 at least. It's not the end of the world, but I've already committed 1 dumb turnover, and I'm going to try to avoid doing it again, but their defense has just been incredible. I'm taking the safety, so this is 100% the start we don't want, as we're going to also give up a touchdown. To begin the second quarter, it is now 15-0, and this is a 3rd down that we need to pick up. I'm going to find Jonte Cook II, and how did he just maneuver out of that situation? That's going to be our biggest play of the game, and that is massive, because up until this point, we have really been struggling, but now we can get a little bit of momentum. In fact, if we're able to score on this drive, we'd be able to go for 2 and tie it up, but I'm not quite sure if I want to chase points and do that yet. If we get it, it seems like the right move, but if we don't, I'm just dumb, and I'm going to roll out, and that should be a catch, but he dropped it. I mean, if we're being honest, it was a terrible read, but he had the ball in his hands at one point, and the end of the half, we're going to throw a pick going down 22-13. If we want to win the Natty, we have got to figure it out, and I've been trying to run the ball a little bit more with CJ Baxter just to switch it up, but this is the first one that's gone for a loss. Most of the time it goes for a loss of a few, so I'm just going to pass it, get in, and now I'm really chasing points, but I'm confident in my play call, which is going to work. On 3rd and 8, it looks like they're going to go with a wide receiver screen of some sort, and we should make the tackle, so now we have a chance to take a lead on this drive, and I knew the blitz was coming. It was just way too easy. Jonte Cook II is going to burn the corner. He's going to shed the tackle, and he should be able to take it all the way. Let's go. He has got to be the best wide receiver in Texas school history at this point, and going into the 4th, we've turned it around. All I'm saying is Alabama better not pick up this 3rd and 5, and they have someone wide open over the middle, so I'm a bit confused what zone our middle linebacker was playing there, but either way, we have forced a 4th and 3, and I'm run committing all day on that. To be honest with you, all we need is a few first downs, and we're going to be able to run away with this thing, but Alabama's defense has been tough to pound the rock on, so here on 3rd and 6, I'm going with the pass, and our tight end's going to be open all day. Cunningham gets down to about the 35, and at some point, they're going to have to start taking timeouts and getting stops. We just need to pick up one final 3rd and 6, and look at Jonte Cook taking it into the end zone, so even though it was a little bit extra, I thought I'd be feeling good about it, but Alabama has worked it right down the field. Their chances aren't great, but if they recover this onside kick, we could be in a little bit of trouble. Thankfully, Mitchell is going to hold on to the ball. Just please go down, buddy. And now we can officially just run out the clock and win the championship. It certainly wasn't easy, but I completed it in 5 years, and that knocks off the 6th challenge of the video. Let me know what record you think Texas will finish with in real life this year down in the comments. And if you're loving these NCAA football videos, YouTube thinks that you're going to like this one even more.